What is up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerdcast for the first episode in our coverage of Total War Warhammer, which finally came out this week. I've got a pre-release copy right here. We're going to be playing it. Now, this is a little bit uncharacteristic of my content. I tend to avoid strategy games like the plague because I know I'm not very good at them, and it seems like I'm just baiting people to just like go haywire upside my head verbally in chat. However, at the same time, I love Warhammer and Warhammer 40k, basically anything Games Workshop I can get on board for. And so I definitely wanted to play the game here on the channel. Just be aware that if you're watching this series, I am not very good at this game, nor will I ever be. And just be aware that this is going to be like, I don't know, call it a personality video series or something. Because what you're going to see here is probably going to be the most atrocious brand of strategy you've ever seen in your life. If you're looking for gameplay tips or to get better at the game, I am not that guy. I'm not going to apologize for it. I almost said I was sorry for it, but I'm not going to apologize for it. But at the same time, I'll give you a fair warning ahead of time. So anyways, let's play ourselves some Total War Warhammer, shall we? There's a number of campaigns that we can jump on into. I spent about 8 hours with the game so far, and so I'm reasonably comfortable with the way everything plays out and with like the beginning chunk of the way the campaigns play out. We got a couple of choices. You've got the Empire, which is basically human beings under the lead of Karl Franz. They worship a guy named Sigmar, who is basically a Viking with a warhammer who ran around doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They've written all kinds of books about it. You can read about it there. I'm not going to go too far into their symbol as the two-tailed comet and all that kind of stuff. You've got the dwarves who live underneath the mountains, and they do dwarfy stuff. They enjoy gold, they're greedy, they keep a book of grudges, and so if you don't know anything about dwarves in this setting keep like detailed lists of everyone who has ever wronged them, and like one of the big things about dwarf society is getting revenge for those grudges. And so they're actually, if we weren't playing the greenskins, I would go with the dwarves next because I really like the dwarves in the Warhammer Fantasy setting. However, we're going to be playing the greenskins today. That's right. Oh, you kids, we's coming for you. So just think of them as Cockney chimney sweeps who run around just annihilating and destroying everything because they think it's fun. They have all of the social tact of like a soccer riot. And so anyways, the orcs, they do what they do because they love fighting. That's the only reason why they do anything that they do. They don't care about like gold or prestige or anything like that. They just think it's fun to fight, and they get bigger and stronger as they fight bigger and stronger opponents. And so they've got a thing called fightiness, which is their main mechanic, where if you make peace for too long, like every single turn you've got a meter, and you lose fightiness every single turn, but you gain fightiness for fighting. And if you lose too much fightiness, you'll start having attrition because your orcs will start infighting each other. Because not having any enemies to wage war on, they will then turn inwards. And that's an intensely orky thing to do. Orcs are known for this kind of treachery. They definitely, if they can't find anybody to fight, they'll invent reasons to fight each other. And then the vampire counts. I can't actually talk about the vampire counts very much because I don't play undead armies. I don't play Necrons in 40k. I don't play anything like that whenever I'm in Warhammer and Warhammer Fantasy. So I tend to stick with greenskins in all aspects. I play the Orcs when I play Warhammer 40k, and I've actually never played Warhammer Fantasy before. But if I did, I would totally play greenskins because they are the superior army that's built for manly men with chest hair and beards. And so anyways, we're playing greenskins today. Their top units are a giant, which is an armor-piercing anti-infantry terror-causing monster. It's got a pretty good attack. Melee attack of 68 is not bad. They've got the Doomdiver Catapult, which is essentially you launch goblins. So there's goblins that are wearing like wingsuits, improvised wingsuits. You launch them out of a catapult at the enemy, and they crash into them and cause actually pretty considerable damage. And then we've got the Ragnarok Spider, which I haven't had the chance to play around with yet. But in this playthrough, hopefully we get the opportunity to do so. Our victory objectives, we can choose those right here. That is to destroy, so the long campaign victory is for us to destroy all the other orc factions and become the greenskin faction. And so essentially we'd be destroying these people, murdering them, razing their cities to the ground, or incorporating them into our territory so that we would become the only greenskin faction. It looks like we can either occupy, loot, raze, or sack 50 different settlements, or we can wipe out the dwarves if we really want to. And actually, I think these are all in collaboration with each other. So all of these things have to happen for us to win. And so the long campaign victory is actually quite the slog. The short campaign victory might be a little bit easier, And so that's probably what I'll go with here, because that gives us an opportunity to actually have a chance. There's no way I'm going to finish a long campaign here on YouTube. I just don't see it happening. I'm telling you now, this is going to be a considerable allocation of resources for me as a YouTuber, and I just don't have the brain power, nor do I have ADD like a ma. And so I'm gonna lose interest like 30, 40 episodes in and just be like, oh no, now I have to finish this. So let's go for the short campaign. This still allows us to wipe out all of the other orcs. This allows us to still kill a number of other people, but it still removes... It's not so bad. I think we can make it happen. Let's do this thing. Short campaign. So there it is. Let's start on up. It's been about 6 minutes, and unfortunately, we still have not even played the game. But hey, our playstyle is large unit sizes. We tend to be a swarm mob. We have very, very cheap unit upkeep. We get raiding, sacking, pillaging bonuses, but our units don't have the best morale when we're talking about the gobos. And then we really don't have that great of a technology tree. We can't trade. So we have to basically supplement our income by murder and mayhem. So let's do this thing. We have to choose our hero. Our faction leader can either be Grimgor Ironhide, or our faction leader can be Azhag the Slaughterer. Azhag the Slaughterer is a powerful melee fighter who also gets death spells by unlocking the legendary Crown of Sorcery. He can get Skull Muncha, which is a unique flying wyvern mount, and so he gets more income from sacking and pillaging. And then diplomatic relations, he actually does pretty well with the undead. He gets bonus, so he gets Goblin Spider Riders as a bonus unit. He gets Orc Biggins, and he gets Goblin Archers. If we go with Grimgor Ironhide, who I have started with, he gets the Immortals, which are Black Orcs, which Black Orcs are essentially the biggest, baddest orcs on the block. Like, it takes a lot of work to become a Black Orc in the Warhammer universe. You gotta be pretty good at causing hurt. You gotta be really, really good at wounding and injuring things in order to become one of them. And so just something to think about right there. He starts with Boar Boys, and he starts with a Doom Diver Catapult. I actually think his starting is a little bit better. So I would probably go with that. And then we would want to research, because he starts with an Immortals banner, that makes Black Orcs in his army more powerful. We'd probably want to focus on working our research towards Black Orcs. I do want to enable the introduction just because there's storyline in there, and I think it's important. I don't really need to play the tutorial. I'm familiar with how the game works and everything like that. But for you guys, I kind of waddled on the fence about this for a little while. I couldn't decide what I wanted to do with it. I am going to leave the introduction in because it gives you important storyline information, but I'll mostly be skipping the tooltips and the tutorials, and I'll just explain them as we go along myself. I'm kind of interested to see what Azhag does, or Azhag does. The problem that I'm running into here with Azhag is that his starting units are quite a bit weaker. It seems like long-term he's the better character, but his starting units are bad. Whereas Grimgor Ironhide, I've played him before, and he's actually insanely good. Like, he's really, really, really good. Lore of Death Spells would be pretty fun, though, too. Yeah, let's do some Lore of Death Spells. How about that? Aw, man, he doesn't get an opening battle? Okay, that's fine. I don't really... fine, we'll go with the...
War comes. I can smell it. The old world teeters on a blade's edge, but a steadying hand may yet save it. Is that my role? Alas, nothing is grand. I am merely a humble advisor to Grimgor Ironhide, the most brutal of Black Orcs. Even that bestial intellect recognized a use in me. His horde as we travel south, laying waste to the stunted and rival orc tribes alike. deep in the Badlands, Gorfang Rotgut, master of Black Crag, challenges his superiority. Grimgor stands to take the whole of the old world as his prize. But first, he must vanquish Rotgut and take Black Crag as his new capital. Black Crag is yours, my brutal lord. The Badlands beyond lay open for conquest. This area is dominated by tribes of inferior greenskins. On the plains to the west, Rotgut's Red Fangs mass against you, angry at the loss of their stronghold. Proving your utter superiority over Gorfang should be your first calling. Vanquish the Red Fang, and tribes of lesser orcs will flock to your banner, freeing your mobs to look further afield for lands to conquer. The stunted dwarfs that dwell in the mountains around you should provide plentiful quarry. You can't let that black orc Grimgor have all the fun. There is a reason they call you the Slaughterer. Show them all why.
We absolutely will. Oh my god, the camera is moving without me. Welcome on in. This is Total Warhammer. I always thought that they missed out on that. Like, they shouldn't have called it Total War Warhammer. They should have just called it Total Warhammer. I don't know. If they really wanted to brand it better, they could have gone with the Age of Sigmar thing, but that probably would have made everybody angry, like, Age of Sigmar, Total Warhammer. I don't know. Total Warhammer, it just fits together. It just fits together so nicely. So basically the storyline is, if you play it as the other orc guy, he actually gets like a real storyline. It's kind of anticlimactic playing this guy. I thought he was going to have his own storyline. So Grimgor Ironhide came down here to take over this keep. So we have a quest. Engage the enemies. We must defeat the Red Fang in battle before they are able to regain their strength. See that it is done. Our reward is that we get 1,000 added to our treasury. So this game has a pretty busy UI. I'll do my best to explain what's going on. That's the Winds of Magic. They move around and they make stuff happen. I haven't really had too much of a chance to play around with that. Even like in 7 or 8 hours played, I haven't had a ton of experience with Magic and playing around with like the Winds of Magic and stuff like that. It's just something that I have not done yet. So we have a quest right now to engage the enemy. It must defeat the Red Fang about it. So basically I could fight, I can defeat any army belonging to the Red Fang. Okay, that's perfectly fine by me. Our army is right here. We are following in the wake, so Grimgor Ironhide came down here to conquer Black Crag. That's the other character. And if you were able to read fast enough on the load screen, we came in behind him and just crumped him real fast and made him zog off. And so we've actually taken his place now as Warlord of the Greenskin Band. At the top of the screen, this is how much we're going to get each turn. This is how much we have in storage, so our treasury versus our predicted income. Down on this side, we've got our movement meter, our character level. We can look at our character if we wanted to. He's got all kinds of stats. You can equip armor, enchanted items, and all kinds of other good stuff on him. He's got a skills list, so as he levels up, we'll be able to take these skills. This is definitely quite a bit more RPG-like than a lot of the other Warhammer offerings, whereas normally what would happen is as time went along in his details, what would happen in the other Warhammer games is he would accumulate like perks and like prestige things and quirks from being alive over time, kind of in like a CK2 type of way if you play that as well. You would basically have like effects that would last the rest of your life as your character gets married and has kids and does other stuff. Because Warhammer Fantasy is a completely different setting that is a lot more conducive to RPG-like stuff. I don't know if the humans still have to mess with that. I have only played the Orcs so far. I haven't played any of the other factions yet. I played around with the dwarves for a little while, so it's possible, I don't know, something like that might happen with another faction. But with the orcs, we don't have to worry about any of that, because orcs are pretty easy. They're pretty easy to understand. Orcs only like what entails the zoggins. And so anyways, we's gonna crop ourselves some umies. We's coming for you. And also other little orkies over here. So we should probably go fight them. I haven't had a chance. His name is Nash, huh? I don't particularly like our chances. Our army is not that great right now. Our army, I mean, obviously, we've probably got a decent chance, but let's move over here and see what we can make happen. You are attacking greenskins. So they got Nash, he's got orc boys, he's got goblins, he's got some arrow boys, and he's got a wolf chariot. Okay, the wolf chariot is essentially kind of like a little bit of a Mongol tactic, essentially, where it's mobile archery, so you got to watch out for that. They'll be kiting you. However, when it comes to a main Bastion force in the midfield, we've actually got a much better force, and we've got cavalry, which is dedicated to killing archers. So you know what? I'm going to take control of this one. Anytime you fight a battle, this thing tells you your rough chance of winning. This little hashed area in the middle, I think, is kind of like the, I guess, the freedom of error, or whatever the hell you would call it mathematically, the error contained in there. I've won battles where there's only a tiny little sliver right there saying that I could win, and so it's not that bad. We can choose to fight it, we can choose to auto-resolve, or we can run away. We're not going to be doing anything like running away. That is one of the least orky things you can do. We's the orcs and we don't run from nobody. So we go straight to the battlefield. I think we'll be alright with the lineup. I'm a little bit worried about the wolf chariots, but I'm not like losing my shit over it just yet. Like, I think we'll be good. Huzzah! Welcome to the battlefield. We will be playing on this side. So our deployment zone is this little yellow area. Ooh, they've deployed on a hill. That's unpleasant. That means technically if they had any brain power, they could just turtle and wait for me to lose the fight. It would be their fight to lose considering their dominant position on the field. Well, let's have a look at our orky friends, shall we? Here they are right here. We've got our, I think these are just biggins right here, which are just bigger varieties. I love the differences in between the orcs. Like, they've all got little, like, different helmets and different shoulder pads and stuff like that. A lot of care has gone in, and that's one of the fun parts about fielding an orc army in either 40k or in Warhammer Fantasy is when you paint them and you design them all, you can do all kinds of fun little things with them and make them look random. We've got our archers right here. We've got our spearmen on this side. Those goblins are going to rout very quickly, though, so be careful about that. We have spider riders. We need to use them to mess with his. We want to constantly harass his archers with the spider riders if we can. And so, let's get our deployment done a little bit better here. I am not liking our deployment at all. You can left-click any unit. You can right-click to place them. If you go from right to left, it'll turn them around so they're facing backwards. If you go left to right, it'll make them face forwards with respect to the camera. Down to up makes them go left. And then top to bottom makes them go right if you're trying to set up your formations. And you do that by just clicking, holding, and dragging, in case you were wondering. So what we need to do here is we're going to set up kind of catacorner, I guess. I need you guys out in the front, although they're not fielding any specific type of... They're not fielding any cavalry, and so it's not that big of a deal. With the archers, we're going to bring you to a side. We're going to bring you to a side. And then we need to cover our archers in one way or another. I don't want to thin the ranks too much in the front, because I do need them to be somewhat protected up here. I don't like that positioning. There. Basically, I just don't want them to be able to weave around and get at my archers too easily. A lack of artillery is going to be an issue. One of the reasons I really like Grimgor is because he starts with catapults, and catapults are fantastic. Like, we could fire from right here with catapults and start dealing damage while they have to walk across the entire field and just suffer it. I'm going to keep cavalry in reserve. Normally, in reserve would mean that they were, like, back here, like, away from the fighting, and then you could rededicate them and repurpose them for wherever you needed them on the battlefield. I tend to keep a few units in reserve. Medieval combat dictates you get spearmen in the front. Archers, I'm going to put them in skirmishing mode by clicking this little button right here. That simply means that they will run the hell away if anything wants to fight them in melee instead of engaging in melee, because it's a bad idea. Archers are not good at that, and so I tend to keep them out of melee as much as possible. And in fact, if they end up in melee, it's because I have screwed up badly. Now we just gotta hope that we win on the field of battle. But yeah, normally I would keep guys in reserve back here just in case.
Use the maps available to assist your tactical planning, Commander.
Yeah, it actually looks like they are going to maintain their position on that hill. That's not good. That's really, really bad, because that gives them a really, really dominant, like a really dominant position. Like a crazy dominant position. Looks like they're moving around a little bit. Let me have a look here. No, they're not actually. Ew. I don't like this at all. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to step them to the side. This is using the arrow keys if you wanted to keep them in formation and have them step to a side. While we do that, cavalry charges up a hill are going to be super lackluster. I'm going to speed up the combat real quick so that we can move them around. No issue had. What we're going to try and do is we're going to try and maneuver over to here if we can make it happen. How slow is he? Okay, so he's not real quick. They've got a hero unit with them too, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. This fight may not go very well for us. What you could try and do is we could send out skirmishers and try to pull them off the hill just by hectoring them a little bit. But frankly, that would be a long, arduous process that I just don't feel like dealing with. And so because I'm lazy, we're going to do this the hard way. Alright, we're going to move them around this way. We can rotate our facing by holding down the control key and using the arrows. So there it is. I'm going to rotate to there. And then while we wait... God, I do not like this one little bit. This is a really, really good position they've got. Basically, I'm going to try and inch in without them... Are they shifting their ranks? Okay, good. They shifted. That'll leave us with... we can win this fight pretty easily. I think they're a little bit archer heavy for this to actually be like a threatening fight to us. But I still don't like fighting uphill. That's one of those basic battlefield things that I'm just like, I don't like this at all. So basically, we'll step them up like so. Sometimes it's easier instead of changing your facing to just go forwards and then sideways and then forwards and then sideways. Alright, so we've already eaten up 10 minutes of our battle time here. They've only got like one line of guys in the front. I'm a little bit worried about Nash. But aside from that, they have so much random arrow infantry that I do think we can make this happen. Did I leave my cavalry behind? I left me cavalry behind. That's okay, because cavalry's going to go over, like, here. And that should work out alright. We're not going to need them for a minute anyways. So, as we stand right now, what I would like to do... Let me go ahead and pause the game. These cats are going to move, like, up to there, where they're, like, in firing range. These cats are going to move up to here, in firing range, hopefully. And then in a nutshell, I want them to get to right there, at which point they're going to break ranks and they're going to attack. This is a stupid, I really don't want to attack uphill like this, but we have no choice. We're going to have to make very, very careful use of our cavalry if we want this to work the way we want it to use. Cavalry isn't too far out, but I'm not going to need them for a minute either, so until the fight is joined... Not really gonna need him.
The enemy command the high ground. Attack with caution, my lord.
Yeah, I understand that. This is going to suck. It's probably not gonna go super well for us. So archers, bring them up the hill. Bring them out a little wider. What I prefer to see here, we'll get a charge going right there, a charge going right there, with a second wave that's going to be dedicated to the left-hand flank, because they've got a reinforced, basically they've got their super powerful melee unit there on the left. As far as my hero goes, we are going to engage with Nash. He's only level 1, so it may work out okay. And then along this side, what I really need to do is we need to bring them over to here, and they're going to move pretty quickly, so we can make this happen without too many... God, we are getting arrowed to smithereens right now. Yep, come up the hill, and then from there, attack. So basically all that I'm really interested in is turning that flank as hard as possible. You guys, move up a little closer. I need more amassed fire, otherwise this is not going to function well. They've got spearmen in the back. They may try something crafty right there. Actually, if we really wanted to rout them as quickly as possible, Ooh, I wish I could tighten ranks a little bit better. There we go. Okay, now get out of there, get out of there. Alright, so now that we've hit them right there, our goal is going to be to get as many of our spider riders out of combat as possible. Because what they were going to try and do right there is they were waiting for the cavalry charge so that they could collapse. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring them back to here, and we're going to smash these guys. You can add orders like this where you create a chain of things happening by shift-clicking, and it'll add it to the queue, like the list of things that you wanted to do in battle. Oh, spider riders are making friends right now. Alright, let's go ahead and get on these archers over here. They should be routing very, very shortly. That cavalry charge right there is not really something that they wanted to deal with. They left their rear flank just like completely and totally open, right? They left me a gap large enough to where I could mess with them pretty easily. They are routing now. And so what we are very much going to want to do is we're going to want to run down some of these troops. Wow, he's slow. He is like a really, really slow unit. I'm actually surprised how slow he is. Alright, and then all of you guys need to be on their leader. Help us rout the remainder of their troops. I want them to have no melees left on the field. If you wanted to see the action happening down here, I'll try and give you a good old battle cam. And so they're just getting run over right now. Taken out handily. And so there it is. The big charge. That should be enough to keep them taken care of. Most of them are fleeing the field right now. Spider riders, we're going to have them go back in and attack their flanks. You guys redeploy right here. I need somebody to maintain that flank. Where is my hero at? Oh, he's actually engaged in the fight. Good. I just want to make sure that flank isn't too wide open. You guys can skirmish all you want, shoot arrows at each other. I'm sure it'll make you feel better about things. Orcs flying through the air, and their morale should break pretty quickly. Swordsmen don't stand much of a chance against cavalrymen. It's not a good call for them. It really isn't, sincerely. We should have this one in the bag, I think. Our lord is under attack. That's okay. You guys try to shore up whatever you can on this side. Make them suffer a little bit. Spider riders, get back in here. These guys are shaky right now, but don't let them harass you like that. And there it is. The victory is sealed. Now, we could actually ride this one on out and let it do its thing. Our forces got split up pretty nastily, which is not something that I'm normally in support of. However, so is he routing right now? Oh yeah, he's shattered. Cool. We'll end the battle, and that's going to be our first victory. At the end, you are victorious. The corpses of the enemy litter the ground, and those still able to flee do so with laughter of our gods ringing in their ears. Gork and Mork look after us today. We's gonna sweep your chimney. And we won. Hooray. Azag the Slaughterer. We actually didn't lose too badly right there. We probably could have done better, but frankly, given the fact that they had a very, very dominant field position, I'm happy with the way that it went. And so what's going to happen now is we have a couple of choices. We can ransom the captives, which is considered a very un-orky thing to do. Orcs do not care about gold. That's just a thing that does not even factor with most orcs. They just want to fight and collect more bits and build more armor and kill more stuff and get stronger. Slaughtering the captives, so we can kill them all. That gives us a leadership bonus for a little while, which helps keep us from routing and a couple other things. Or we can eat the captives, which means that we've taken 46 captives. If you eat them, it replenishes your unit numbers slightly and instantly, and so it can be helpful. If you're having like a long campaign, it can be useful to eat the captives on your way in. I'm going to go with the leadership bonus, though. And he should flee back to his own land. So we defeated the Red Fang in battle before they were able to regain their strength. That gives our treasury an infusion of 1,000 gold. And that should be pretty good.
I think that his fortress at Iron Rock will provide him cover, but he is mistaken. Drive his forces out and take another of his strongholds as your own.
Gotta kill his army first. In this game, it's a lot harder to kill people. So what you could do, the faction leaders, I've never seen them get assassinated, and I've played the game quite a bit now. These characters, they seem to, so Nash, for example, is like the leader of the Red Fangs. If we defeat him and we kill him on the field, it seems like he respawns and comes back. It's not like the old Total War games where you can actually kill off lords and slay them in battle so that they're no longer a problem, slowly sort of brain draining the enemy faction until they can't fight with you anymore. I want to fight him again is what I want. I want to kill him before he escapes. Now, we can only resupply inside our own territory, so keep that in mind. However, what we could do, we could put down a raiding camp to replenish in somebody else's territory and also affect their morale too. But we've just about run out of time for the day. So my name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me here for the first episode of Total War Warhammer. I look forward to playing this series. Seriously, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I think we're going to have a blast doing it. I will see you all later. Hi, do everybody, and I will see you in the next episode.